No intro, let's get this party started. Yeah, we're just gonna jump online. That's how you do it. You just jump online, bust out. How y'all doing today? How's everybody? I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday or a wonderful one day. You know? Hope everybody's feeling as funky as this beat, right? This is the Monday mashup. We're going to give some people a chance to come in. This is the Monday mashup. All right. Pardon my my little microphone check, my sound check. Much better. There we go. Had to move the mic anyway. And sometimes this plug, I don't know, the plug acts funny or the microphone acts funny, but it kind of goes out. But thank you guys for joining me. We're just talking about regular old stuff. We're talking about holistic health and what's happening over here at the BiomedRx Health Center. Well, we're very fortunate right now during this COVID epidemic. Pandemic as it's called, because we are able to continue to operate and continue to function, okay, pretty effectively. CBD is part of the medical marijuana, sphere, and these products are considered essential products right about now, so people are still able to come by. Yes? Who? No, only CBD, sir. Yeah, see, people step in all the time, people come in all the time, and, we're only selling CBD products. We're not selling, although the company is BiomedRx Medical Marijuana, at this point, we don't have a marijuana location. But it's okay because as CBD is a marijuana product or a product of the hemp plant, which is part of the cannabis family of plants, the people who would be likely to try CBD, or people who would be inclined to try CBD, are going to be coming from those who are not afraid of ingesting cannabinoids in other forms. So I don't really mind that, okay? But there is no cannabis sold in this county, all right? This is a great county to raise your kids in. There's no cannabis sales here. Anyway, back to the BiomedRx Health Center. Yes, we are selling CBD, and we do have vitamins as well, BiomedRx Supplements, and that kind of keeps us afloat. And remember, BiomedRx as a corporation is also focused on healthcare technology management, and in doing that, we're providing medical equipment maintenance services for healthcare facilities and medical device manufacturers, right, all over the country, right? So you can go to BiomedRx on YouTube, the other channel, right, BiomedRx TV, and subscribe there, and get, I think I've got like 140, maybe more, maybe close to 200 videos now on that channel. I haven't gone live there today. I was going to go live earlier, but other things got in the way. But this is a good time right now for us, because we are able to take the peak performance. Well, let me back up, okay? Peak performance therapies are highly elastic, right? In economic terms, it's considered highly elastic. And what does that mean? That means that when money is good, when the American economy is booming, Americans are people of very high self-esteem. That's one of the things that makes us unique in the world. And our high self-esteem is what makes us impossible to control. What we're experiencing right now is a very desperate attempt by the elite to control us, but it's not going to happen because of our high level of self-esteem. And our high level of self-esteem is what keeps the highly elastic markets at play, right? In play. This is why we change cars, even if the car we have is working, because body styles change and car styles change and colors change, and we want to keep up with fashion. We consider our vehicle a fashion object, just like we consider the clothing that we wear. And when the economy is doing well, Americans are lifestyle-oriented people. Even people who are not in the savings and investing class per se like to invest in themselves. They like to get manicures and pedicures. They like to spoil themselves and get massages. They like to get neurofeedback and peak performance training, therapies that they don't necessarily need but would actually make them better, right? Enhance the quality of their life and enhance the quality of performance that they get out of their minds, out of their brains, and out of their bodies. And that's what we do here. Well, highly elastic. That means that when the economy is doing well, our services are selling well. Just like roses, just like chocolates, just like luxury cars, just like jewelry, we do well, okay? But then when the economy is doing poorly, especially in times right now where it is being made to do poorly deliberately, okay, regardless of the reason that the economy is doing poorly, it is doing poorly. And when the economy is doing poorly, people don't invest. People don't want to invest in these luxury treatments. And that's okay, right? That's okay. CBD sales are taking a hit because of COVID, and but not a complete hit, but we're kind of chugging along. Healthcare technology management is taking a hit because the healthcare industry is taking a hit. Okay. It's very restricted in many ways. And when the economy does turn around, when the economy does wake up, when the powers that be get their foot off of our collective neck, then things are going to bounce back with a vengeance, right? But in the meantime, I want you to understand that we still have BiomedRx CBD, BiomedRx Gold Label CBD. And let me see if I can't get... Here you go. You want to look for this, right? BiomedRx Gold Label CBD. Or I'll do it like they do on The Price is Right? I'll hold it up like that, right? I'll hold it up and you smile with your bottom teeth, right? BiomedRx Gold Label CBD Oil is organically grown here locally in Southern California. It's gluten-free. It's glyphosate-free. It's homogenized. No GMOs. It's third-party tested for purity as well as CBD strength. Third and fourth party. I have a couple of different labs tested, and everything's up online. And it's extracted, the CBD is extracted using the CO2 extraction method. just wanted to get that out the way. So if you like, CBD, if you're a CBD oil customer, then you would definitely like BiomedRx CBD. In fact, I think I know people who can tell you better than I. There you go.
Gold label quality BiomedRx CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
You can not only buy CBD oil on BiomedRxCBD.com, you can also buy our vitamins and other health supplements. So we have vitamins for everyone, for men and women.
BiomedRx Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency full-spectrum multiple vitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octasanol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzymes. Visit www.biomedrxsupplements.com.
Wow, that commercial was over sooner than I got back with my water. Sorry about that. Yeah, so where are we at? Okay, now, so what do we do during these times? Okay, during these times, these down times when business is slow and, business is not doing as well as we would like it to be, we take advantage of our opportunities. We take advantage of how blessed we are to be able to bring ourselves to a state of peak performance, of peak health, right? And that's kind of what I'm doing right now, right? It started off with the basics of neurofeedback and the other therapies that I perform here, that we perform here at the BiomedRx Health Center. Started off with doing synchrony neurofeedback and training up to 50 hertz, in synchrony. And that's pretty much, well, not pretty much, that's exactly the highest frequency that the software will allow you to train at. And moving from there into other training modalities, such as the Neuro Institute Gateway program, and that's what we're dealing with right now. That's what we're studying right now. Okay, in the Gateway program, you are able to train yourself to be what is called a remote viewer. All right. A remote viewer is a kind of person who's capable of leaving his body, his or her body, and it's a classification of intelligence agent. It's a spy. It's a person who's capable of exiting his body or transferring his consciousness outside of his body and moving around and spying and snooping and listening and viewing and traveling, right? Transposing time and space. And this is something that can be learned, believe it or not. It can be learned. And but it takes a lot of training. And there are a lot of people who both in the United States as well as in Russia and probably even Israel and other countries who are skilled in remote viewing. But that's all training that we're doing through listening to the Monroe Institute audio files of binaural beat cocktails or binaural beats. And it's called the Gateway Experience. The Gateway Experience is preparing you for out-of-body experience. Now, there are audio files of binaural beats here online that claim to be able to instigate or provoke an out-of-body experience. But I haven't heard them. I don't know. I mean, I think I may have listened to one or two. I haven't had the experience. I haven't had the ability to generate an out-of-body experience just yet, But I made my debut into the manosphere this week, right? So we're going to have to start talking about these issues as well, right? I mentioned that dealing with holistic health and people's health, you tend to get to a position where you have to deal with them on a psychological level. You have to deal with them as people, and you have to kind of locate the emotional root of their physical ailment, right? Their physical ailment or their physical illness. And that is what I'm doing right now. When you get to the point where you start uncracking what we call the emotion code, right? You start dealing with, what do you call this? Manifestation, right? Law of attraction type energies. Then you have to go into the not only emotional realm, but the metaphysical realm, the spiritual and the metaphysical realm. And that's where we are with the Gateway Experience. Now, excuse me, in order to be able to generate an out-of-body experience, you have to be able to process some very high frequencies. You have to be able to process some super gamma frequency band frequencies. And whenever you are in the gamma zone, okay, let me explain the frequency bands just briefly. You have delta, which is 0 to 5 hertz, and that's when you are sleeping, right? And then you have theta. Theta would be, delta stops at 5 hertz. So then you have theta. Theta goes up to around 7 hertz, right? And in the theta zone, you would be considered, you would be in light sleep or REM sleep, right? Rapid eye movement sleep, right? And the theta zone is where your subconscious lives. It's where your dreams lie. It's where your subconscious mind is. It's where your repressed memories are, right? And luckily I have the trash can right here. Not sure I want to light this right now, actually, because that sucker felt a little dry, and I don't want to start coughing, get red-eyed and coffee over here. But, okay, so theta.
Yeah, I'm going to go boxing.
All right, son, do a good job. My son is a boxer. He makes me very proud. You can see him on Kai Lockett, the Kai Lockett channel. He's the Kai man. In theta, right, you can access your subconscious mind and your repressed memories and your repressed emotions. And we access theta in alpha theta training. When you get to around 20 hertz, you get into beta. Beta keep watching the screen. I'm very, very sorry about the microphone dropping out. I had the wrong screen up. I'm looking at my visitors and not looking at my microphone levels, and that can be detrimental to the stream. I'm very sorry about that. Please accept my apologies. I don't know how long the volume, the microphone has been off. So I'm going to backtrack. We're training through the
new messages received from Crystal Kelly. Messages, babe. I might have prepped roommate's room for Lil Man.
Oh, that is so sweet. So, excuse me, I have to address this. Yes. So now that I got the mic on, I'm giving you guys the silent treatment. I'm very sorry. So we have the different frequency bands for the brain, right? We're talking about alpha. We're talking about delta, right? Which is deep sleep, and that is 0 to 5 hertz. And then we can go into theta, which is around 7 hertz, and then we can go into alpha, which is around 10 hertz, and then we can go into beta, which is around 20 hertz, and then we can go into high beta, which is at 25 hertz, and then 30 hertz and above is the gamma zone. Okay? If we're training at any of the frequencies, we're going to have the corresponding response. If we're training in delta, we'll put you to sleep. If we're training in theta, we'll get to access your subconscious mind and release repressed emotions and heal repressed memories. We can also do a lot of belief reformation and spiritual work. We can do a lot of work with memories or the subconscious mind. It's very, very powerful. And if you want to prepare, if you wanted to, for example, to prepare yourself for an exam, then you can come to me and I can train you in the alpha zone. I mean, the beta zone. I can train you in beta at 20 hertz, or I can train you in high beta at 25 hertz. And that would get you just the level of cortical arousal that you can pass whatever exam you wanted to pass. So you're going to be at a peak level of mental performance. Now, at the end of the day, you may want to unwind and have a glass of wine or a beer or something, simply because that's a way to access a nice alpha state, a nice state of 10 hertz state of relaxation. Most of us are too dysregulated in the neocortex to be able to access an alpha state simply by removing stressors and calming ourselves down. That's why after you go for a very long drive, you may feel as though you need a drink. You may need a glass of wine, or you may need to hit a joint or whatever. And that's understandable. This is a brain shop. I don't judge, right? We all self-medicate, and we all have the right to self-medicate. And no one has a right to judge anyone on self-medication. That having been said, when you train the brain for peak performance, when you train the brain above 30 hertz, there is not the same rise in physical tension that corresponds with the rise in cortical arousal that corresponds to raising your training frequencies from, say, 5 hertz delta, 7 hertz theta, 10 hertz alpha, 25 hertz beta, 20 hertz beta, 25 hertz high beta, 30, 40, or even 50 hertz in gamma. Now, when you do all of the other bands, right? Delta, beta, delta, alpha, delta, theta, alpha, beta, high beta, you will experience a corresponding rise in physical tension. You're raising cortical arousal, and you're also going to be raising physical tension. So just like when you're driving, right? Your brain is at 25 hertz at least, because you're paying attention to so many things. You're using both hemispheres of your brain. You're thinking about spatial relationships and motion and speed and time and distance and everything. And that's a lot for the brain to handle. And after being in that state for an extended period of time, you might want to reach for your favorite adult beverage in order to calm yourself down. And like I said, there's nothing really wrong with that. But the funny thing about training in gamma, when you're training 30 hertz or 35 or above, the body calms down. That's when you get to the unifying frequency, or what we call the flow state. That's when we get to the point where you are, your brain is moving 1,000,000 miles an hour and your body is very relaxed. That's the state where you win boxing matches, or you win at any sport, because you're keeping a cool body, right? You're calm, keeping a cool head, but your brain is in peak performance. Your brain is ahead of your body in a very sharp way. And my son is experiencing that right now, and I'm very proud of him for doing that. We're doing a lot of intensive brain training, and he's actually able to train while he's live and playing his video game, which is good. I'm very impressed with his ability to do that. But we're talking about now the Monroe Institute audio files that are called the Gateway Experience. And Bob Monroe, Bob Monroe developed this cocktail of this series and cocktail of audio files for the Gateway Experience. And let me see if I can find it here. Actually, no, I don't. I'm going to have to do a screen share for you guys. Anyway, actually, no. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, let me see. I'm going to open up Adobe Acrobat Reader. Yes. And I'm going to open both of these documents. I'm going to share this with you right quick, okay? And let me see if my Windows share is still working, and make sure my microphone is still working, damn it. All right, so yeah, now we're going to switch over to another window here. Let me fade. Different, should be, okay? Let's see. Yeah, what are we jamming right now? Okay, yeah, Black Manta, that's cool. All right, so what you're looking at right here is a document that was put together by the CIA. And the CIA actually sent this colonel to investigate, this commander. This is 9 June 1983. Wow, that's interesting, because on the 14th of July of 1983 is when I went to basic training in the Air Force. That's when I went into the Air Force. So this is interesting that this was going on. This study took place while I was in high school. And I'm not going to do any reading of it because I did read a lot more of it before, and you can look at it on other live streams that I have. But this is some heavy stuff because it is talking about this talking about the gateway experience. Okay, it's talking about sending troops, I guess, to study the out of body experience, and I'm pretty sure that this commander didn't just go visit the Monroe Institute and put headphones on and undergo the gateway experience by himself. No, what he ended up doing was, he underwent the gateway experience with, we're going to have to, excuse me, but I'm going to have to close that side window. There we go. And I'm going to have to open this up again. Okay. So no, he sent I'm pretty sure there were a lot of troops involved in this, in this study. And you can see that there are he talks about hypnosis. He talks about accessing the homunculus, the brain, does the illustrations of brain anatomy. And here, and this is the gateway. This is the same experience that I'm talking about right now. Okay, this is the gateway experience. These are the audio files that I'm training with, daily and nightly. Okay. And he's talking about brain coherence through entrainment to beat frequencies via stereo headphones is only part of the reason why the gateway system works. It's also designed to achieve the physical quietude characteristic of deep transcendental meditative states, which brings about a complete alteration of the fundamental resonance pattern associated with the sound frequencies produced by the human body. Yoga, Zen, or transcendental meditation, if practiced long enough, will produce a change in the sound frequency with which the human heart resonates through the entire body. According to Bentoff, this change in resonance results from elimination of what the medical profession calls the bifurcation echo, so that the sound of the heartbeat can move synchronously up and down the circulatory system in harmonious resonance approximately 7 times a second. Bentoff describes the role played by the bifurcation echo as follows. When the left ventricle of the heart ejects blood, the aorta, being elastic, balloons out just beyond the valve and causes a pressure pulse to travel down along the aorta. When the pressure pulse reaches the bifurcation in the lower abdomen, which is where the aorta forks and to go into the legs, part of the pressure pulse rebounds. It's an echo, right? And starts traveling up the aorta. If in the meantime the heart ejects more blood, a new pressure pulse is traveling down. These two pressure points will eventually collide and produce an interference pattern. By placing the body in a sleep-like state, the gateway tapes achieve the same goal as meditation in that it places the body in such a profoundly relaxed state that the bifurcation echo slowly fades away as the heart lessens the force and frequency with which it pushes blood. The result is a regular rhythmic sine wave pattern of sound which echoes through the body and rises up to the head in sustained resonance. The amplitude of this sine wave pattern, when measured with a sensitive seismograph type instrument, is about 3 times the average of the sound volume produced by the heart when it is operating normally. Okay? So it is actually like I said, I could go on. This isn't directly from the Monroe Institute. This is the information that was gathered by the colonel, the lieutenant colonel, who was studying this process. Okay, and it's intensive. Okay, it's intense, and that's what I'm going through right now. All right, that's the experience that I'm having, and in the process of doing the gateway tapes, listening to the gateway tapes, audio files. I'm an old man, so I say tapes because I was alive back when we used tape. this this experience brings you into touch with yourself in a more profound manner than most people ever have the experience of understanding themselves in their lives. That is a fact. That is something that you really have to understand. I'm scanning here because I don't want to. Yeah. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Okay, let me check my front office. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, people. So we understand that it is the gateway process is designed to rather rapidly induce a state of profound calm within the nervous system, to significantly lower blood pressure, to cause the circulatory system, skeleton, and all other physical organ systems to begin vibrating coherently at approximately 7 to 77.5 cycles per second. That's within the theta. That's within the theta range, right? Cycles per second. The resulting resonance sets up a regular repetitive sound wave which propagates in consonance with the electrostatic field of the earth. Okay? Energy entrainment. As the body is turned into a coherent oscillator, vibrating in harmony with the surrounding electrostatic medium, the specific exercises included in the gateway tapes enjoin the participant to build up the energy field surrounding his body, presumably by using energy from the Earth's field, which the body is now in training because of its ability to resonate with it. This puts the body's energy field into homogeneity with its surrounding environment and promotes movement of the seat of consciousness into the surrounding environment, partly in response to the fact that the two electromagnetic medians are now a single energy continuum. Thus, the same process which moves the brain into focused coherence at steadily higher levels of frequency and amplitude, so as to entrain analogous frequencies in the universe for data collection, also promotes enhancement of bodily energy levels to a point adequate to permit the subject to experience an out-of-body movement when he is ready to do so. All right. In addition, by resonating with the Earth's electromagnetic sphere, the human body creates a surprisingly powerful carrier wave to assist the mind in communicating activity with other human minds similarly tuned. I'm going to read that again. In addition, by resonating with the Earth's electromagnetic sphere, the human body creates a surprisingly powerful carrier wave to assist the mind in communication activity with other human minds similarly tuned. Let me explain some rather interesting phenomenon that are happening to me right now, okay, in my life. Someone came up to me and described a conversation that they had about me to me, and I instantly got a flash of every human being that was in that room, of every person that was in the room, even individuals who I didn't know. I had a vision of every person that is in the room. That's one of the benefits of the the gateway experience, because it's bringing you to a frequency in tune with the frequency of the earth. And I'm going to say the frequencies of the earth, because I believe that there are multiple frequencies, and I believe that Mr. Monroe and the people at the Monroe Institute were able to tap into those frequencies and include those frequencies in the audio files for this particular experience. I'm going to have to take a photograph of this young man that's walking outside, and I'm going to do it with the flash on, because I want him to know that I'm taking a photograph of him. And the reason I'm doing that is because he's quite curious about my shop, and my son isn't in the lobby. So, and I've gotten calls that he's been curious about my shop before. So to do that would allow him to understand that I'm aware of his presence and that I've got his picture. So before explanation can proceed any further, it is essential to define the mechanisms by which the human mind exercises the function known as consciousness, and to describe the way in which that consciousness operates to deduce meaning from the stimuli which it receives. This is where it gets deep, okay? Now remember, I'm not reading from the Monroe Institute. I'm reading from the government, okay? All right? To do this, we will first consider the fundamental character of the material world in which we have our physical existence in order to accurately perceive the raw stuff with which our consciousness must work. The first point which needs to be made is that the two terms, matter and energy, tend to be misleading if taken to indicate two distinctly different states of existence in the physical world that we know it. Indeed, if the term matter is taken to mean solid substance as opposed to energy, which is understood to mean force of some sort, then the use of the former is entirely misleading. Science now knows that both the electrons, which spin in the energy field located around the nucleus of the atom, and the nucleus itself are made up of nothing more than oscillating energy grids. Solid matter, in the strict construction of the term, simply does not exist. Rather, atomic structure is composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids, which orbit at extraordinarily high speeds. In this book, Stalking the Wild Pendulum, Isaac Bentov gives the following figures. The energy grid, which composes the nucleus of the atom, vibrates at approximately 10 to the 22nd power hertz. 10 followed with 22 zeros, right? At 70 degrees Fahrenheit, an atom oscillates at the rate of 10 to the 15 hertz. You guys can continue reading this, and I'm going to go and handle something right quick. I'll be right back. Okay, now, this is getting pretty deep, and the reason I'm going here is because this is kind of where I'm going as far as my understanding. When you listen to these audio files, you tend to learn. Learning is what you're doing. You're learning, okay? But you're not learning by reading things and figuring out the results of what you've read. You're learning by experience, okay? You're learning, it's coming into your mind because you're experiencing it. All right, we're going to keep going. A live human cell vibrates at approximately 10 to the third hertz. The point is to be made is that the entire human being, brain, consciousness, and all is like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than extraordinary complex systems of energy fields. The so-called states of matter are actually variances in the state of energy, and human consciousness is a function of the interaction of energy in two opposite states, motion versus rest, in a matter described in the following paragraph. Now, that's beautiful. That's beautiful to know. Now we start talking about holograms. Energy creates, stores, and retrieves meaning in the universe by projecting or expanding at certain frequencies in a three-dimensional mode that creates a living pattern called a hologram. The concept of the hologram can be most easily understood by using an example cited by Bentov, in which he asked the reader to visualize a bowl full of water into which 3 pebbles are dropped. As the ripples created by the simultaneous entry of 3 pebbles radiated outward toward the rim of the bowl, Bentov further asked the reader to visualize that the surface of the water is suddenly flash frozen so that the ripple pattern is preserved instantly. The ice is removed, leaving 3 pebbles. You know, we're not going to keep going in this because I like that. I like Bentov's example, but I would like you to read it yourself, okay? Okay, all right. The part encodes the whole. Of further importance is the fact that even if we dropped our frozen hologram broken into a number of pieces, each individual would create the entire image. Right, exactly. The key to creating any hologram is energy motion. Okay. So now the universe is comprised of interacting energy fields, some at rest and some in motion. It is, in and of itself, one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. According to the theories of Carl Prebaum, a neuroscientist at Stanford University, and David Bohm, a physicist at the University of London, the human mind is also a hologram which attunes itself to the universal hologram by medium of energy exchange, thereby deducing meaning and achieving a state which we call consciousness. With respect to the states of expanded or altered consciousness, such as Gateway uses, the process operates in the following way. As energy passes through the various aspects of the universal hologram and is perceived by the electrostatic fields which comprise the human mind, the holographic images being conveyed are projected upon those electrostatic fields of the mind and are perceived or understood to the extent that the electrostatic field is operating at a frequency and amplitude that can harmonize with and therefore read the energy carrier wave pattern passing through it. Changes in the frequency, that's right, because we can only see through the visible light spectrum. If we could see infrared and ultraviolet light, we would probably see those light fields reflecting other things to us. Changes in the frequency and amplitude of the electrostatic field which comprises the human mind determines the configuration and hence the character of the holographic image. Let's check sound. Sound is still working, thank goodness. All right. Then to make sense of what the holographic image is saying to it, the mind proceeds to compare the image just received with itself. Specifically, it does this by comparing the image received with that part of its own hologram which constitutes memory. By registering differences in geometric form and in energy frequency, the consciousness perceives, see Exhibit 2, as psychologist Keith Floyd puts it, contrary to what everyone knows is so, it may not be the brain that produces consciousness, but rather consciousness that creates the appearance of the brain. Wow. The consciousness brain in phase. The consciousness process is most easily envisaged if we picture the holographic input with a three-dimensional grid system superimposed over it, and such that all of the energy patterns contained within can be described in terms of three-dimensional geometry using mathematics to reduce the data into two-dimensional form. That now we're getting into the E8 lattice, and I do highly recommend you, since you're on YouTube, look up E8, right? The E8 theory, right? Or the theory of everything. Bentoff states that scientists suspect that the human mind operates on a simple binary go-no-go system, as do all digital computers. Therefore, once it superimposes a three-dimensional matrix over a holographic information, it wishes to interpret and reduces that information mathematically to two-dimensional form. It can completely process it using its fundamental binary system, just as any computer made by the hand of man can process volumes of data and make various comparisons between the data and information stored in its digital memory. Our minds operate in the same way, perceiving by comparison only. Bentoff states the proposition this way: our whole reality is constructed by constantly making such comparisons. Whenever we perceive something, we always perceive differences only. In states of expanded consciousness, so we're looking at contrast. In states of expanded consciousness, the right hemisphere of the human brain, in its holistic, nonlinear, nonverbal mode of functioning, acts as the primary matrix or receptor for this holographic input, while by operating in phase or coherence with the right brain, the left hemisphere provides the secondary matrix through its binary computer-like method of functioning to screen further the data by comparison and reduce it to a discrete two-dimensional form. Evaluation. Now, I've got to go over this. I said I wasn't going to read it. I said I wasn't going to get stuck reading it, but I really got to do this. I mean, it's very deep. All right, come on, guys, get these likes up, get the likes up, and get the comments up. I really need that. Need some more activity here. I'm not gonna go too much further into this, but I can give you my own anecdotal experience, and it's 5:53. It's almost 6. My son is starting his boxing class until 7, and I mean, I'd like to watch the store, but at the same time, I would like to begin my own training on the gateway audio files before I get tired, before it gets too late. Okay. Human consciousness so that it can perceive without recourse to the intersection of physical senses, such as ever the universal hologram, if not of course accessible by perception, can ultimately be perceived and understood. Currently, he's proposing a startling, all-encompassing model that is generally considerable excitement. Okay, self-cognition to complete our outline. Self-cognition. To complete our outline of the process by which the mind achieves and exercises consciousness, we must also describe the mechanism that accounts for the aspect of human thought that differentiates it from the consciousness of plants or animals, i.e. self-cognition. Humans are aware. We are aware of ourselves. Humans not only know, but they know that they know. They are able to monitor the process of their own thinking and maintain an awareness of it. Moreover, they can conduct a comparative. Now, I want you to watch these illustrations as I pass them. Look at that. Okay. Interesting. For assessment, evaluating the function of their thought processes against various objective standards they have adopted. Human consciousness can do this because it has the capacity to duplicate aspects of its own hologram, project them out, perceive that projection, put it through comparison with the memory aspect, where its evaluation standards of measures are concerned, of its own hologram, and measure or sense the differences using three-dimensional geometry and the binary go, no-go pulse to yield verbal cognition about the self. Time, space, dimension. Now we're getting to the meat. Up to this point, our discussion of the gateway process has been relatively simple and easy to follow. Now the fun begins. Gateway involves more than just perception of those aspects of the universal hologram which can be accessed in the dimension of time-space as we know it. To explain how and why human consciousness can be brought to transcend the limitations of time-space is the next task which must be addressed. To do this, we must first appreciate what time and space are in order to understand how the dimension that they constitute can be transcended. Physicists define time as a measurement of energy or force in motion. In other words, it is a measurement of change. However, in order for energy to be in motion, it must first be limited in some way within the confines of some sort of vibratory pattern, so that its confinement gives it the capacity for being contained at a specific location, which is distinguishable from other locations, space, right? Energy, which is not confined, is force without limit, without dimension, without the limits of form. In its infinity, cannot move because there is nothing beyond infinity, and is therefore outside of the dimension of time. It is also beyond space because that concept implies, listen to what they're saying, all right? It is also beyond space because that concept implies that a specific energy form is limited to a specific location. You forgot your gloves? Okay. There are no boundaries, no here. You got them now? Good job, son. Do good. Thank you. Means energy in infinity means energy uniformly. That's my son getting his boxing gloves. Yeah, I'm proud of him. He's doing a good job. It is also beyond space because that concept implies that a specific energy form is limited to a specific location and is absent from other locations. But if the energy is in the state of infinity, there are no boundaries, no here, no to differentiate from there, no sense of area. Energy in infinity means energy uniformly extended from without limit. It has no beginning, no end, no location. It is conscious force, the fundamental primal power of existence without form. This is powerful shit. A state of infinite being. Energy in infinity is said to be completely at rest and therefore cannot generate holograms so long as it remains utterly inactive. So, if the energy, it retains its inherent capacity for consciousness in that it can receive and passively perceive holograms generated by energy in motion out in the various dimensions which make up the created universe, but it cannot be perceived by consciousness operating in the active universe. Energy in this state of inactivity inactive infinity is termed by physicists as energy in its absolute state, or simply the absolute. Between the absolute and the material universe in which in which we experience our physical existence are various intervening dimensions to which human consciousness in altered states of being may gain access. Theoretically, human consciousness may continue to expand the horizons of its perceptual capacity until it reaches the dimensions of the absolute, at which point perception stops because the absolute generates no holograms of or about itself. Wow. 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 Okay, so now you're talking about coming face to face with God. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Intervening dimensions. Since the absolute is conscious energy in infinity, think about this. Ayn Rand said that, the difference between rational objectivism and the philosophy of believers is that they both realize that there is a infinite reduction to the source of the universe. Objectivists believe that it is existence, believe in the primacy of existence. And those of us who believe in God believe in the primacy of consciousness, that a consciousness created the universe. Well, we're right. We are right. Since the absolute is conscious energy in infinity, i.e. without boundaries, it occupies every dimension to include the time-space dimension in which we have our physical existence, but we cannot perceive it. It overlays everything, as do many of the intervening gradients or dimensions through which the energies of the universe pass on their way to and from their home. In the state of infinity, the absolute. Wow. To enter these intervening dimensions, human consciousness must focus with such intense coherence that the frequency of the energy pattern which comprises that consciousness, i.e. the brainwave output, can accelerate to the point where the resulting frequency pattern, if displayed on an oscilloscope, would look virtually like a solid line. Achievement of this state of altered consciousness sets the stage for perception of non-time-space dimensions because of the operation of a principle in physics known as the Planck's distance. This is an aspect of quantum mechanics which applies to the fact that any oscillating frequency, such as a brainwave, reaches 2 points of complete rest, right? An oscillation. When you turn around and come back, that's complete rest. It's got to reach a point where it stops and comes back, okay? Even if it's a sine wave, which constitutes the boundaries of each individual oscillation, movement up or down. Without these points of rest, an oscillating wave pattern would be impossible, since the points of rest are required to permit the energy to change direction and thus continue vibrating between rigid limits, okay? But it is also true that when, for an infinitesimally brief instant, that energy reaches one of its 2 points of rest, it clicks out of time-space and joins infinity. Next, see the Exhibit 3 on the next page. That critical step out of time-space occurs when the speed of the oscillation drops below 10 to the 33 centimeters per second, Planck's distance. To use the words of Bentov, quantum mechanics tell us that when distances go below Planck's distance, which is 10 to the 33, we enter, in effect, a new world. To return to our case in point, the human consciousness wave pattern reaches such a high frequency that the pattern of clickouts comes so close together that there is virtual continuity in it. Then a portion of that consciousness is actually postulated to establish and maintain its information collection function in those dimensions located between time, space, and the absolute. Thus, as the almost continuous click-out pattern establishes itself in the continuous phase at speeds below Planck's distance, but before reaching the state of total rest, human consciousness passes through the looking glass of time-space after the fashion of Alice in the beginning of her journey into Wonderland, looking through the looking glass. The gateway experience with its associated hemisync technique is apparently designed, if used systematically and patiently, to enable human consciousness to establish a coherent pattern of perception in those dimensions where speeds below Planck's distance apply. This holds true irrespective of whether the individual is exercising his consciousness while in his physical body, or whether he is doing so after having separated that consciousness from the physical body, the so-called out-of-body state mentioned earlier. Okay? Let's go over this again. The gateway experience with its associated hemisync technique is apparently designed, if used systematically and patiently, to enable human consciousness to establish a coherent pattern of perception in those dimensions where speeds below Planck's distance apply. This perception in those dimensions where this holds true irrespective of whether the individual is exercising his consciousness while in his physical body, or whether he is doing so after having separated that consciousness from his physical body, the so-called out-of-body state. Okay? Subatomic particles. The behavior of subatomic particles provides an interesting, let me check my sound, make sure I'm still coming through to you guys. Yeah. And let me see if I get any activity. Thanks for the love, everybody. Thanks for the visits. I really appreciate it. Please get those likes up. Get the likes up and, comment, share it everywhere, The behavior of subatomic particles provides an interesting example to the phenomenon of clicking out discussed in the preceding paragraphs. In fact, you know what? I'm very sorry. I got to check my sound to make sure that, I'm not bothering you guys in the preceding paragraphs. In fact, you know what? Nah, it's not too loud. Okay, so where are we now? This is getting kind of thick. It's getting kind of. This is from the CIA. The behavior of subatomic particles provides an interesting example of the phenomenon of clicking out, discussed in preceding paragraphs. In an article prepared for a Science Digest magazine, Dr. John Gideon mentions the way in which subatomic particles communicate with each other once their energy fields become entrained as a result of colliding with each other. The communication concerned is, of course, postulated to be occurring during the click-out phase in the oscillation of the energy fields comprising the subatomic particles concerned. It is this cause which accounts for the cross-communication at what, in terms of time-space velocities, would seem to involve speeds in excess of light. In reality, Einstein's theory of relativity is not being invalidated, but rather the communication concerned is taking place outside the dimension of time-space to which the theory of relativity is strictly confined. That's right. Specifically, Dr. Gladman tells us quantum theory postulates a kind of long-range Siamese twin effect whenever two subatomic particles collide and then go their different ways. Even when the particles are halfway across the universe from each other, it says they instantaneously respond to each other's actions, and in so doing, they violate relativity's ban on faster-than-light velocities. Indeed, regarding attempts to quantify what is known about the behavior of energy in dimensions apparently outside of time-space, Bentov speaks about courageous physicists who are working on hypothetical particles called tachyons, which can move at speeds higher than light. The speed of tachyons starts just above the speed of light and ranges all the way to infinite velocities. Wow. Dimensions in between. And this is my last one for today. Okay, we're not going to keep going. Now that we have postulated the legitimacy of assertion that the energy forms which compose consciousness can move beyond the time-space dimension, we need to turn our attention to the energy forms which, that's the click out portion right there, right? Okay, Planck's distance, okay? The absolute in infinity. That inhabit those dimensions between time, space, and the absolute. In so doing, we may better perceive the form that reality assumes when we encounter it in those intermediate dimensions. In this context, Bentus tells us that the causal relationship between events breaks down. Movements become jerky rather than smooth. Yeah. Time and space may become grainy or chunky. Perhaps a piece of space can be traversed by a particle of matter in a direction without it necessarily being synchronized with a piece of time. In short, a pair of events will occur in either time or space, the pair not being connected causally, but by a random fluctuation. What Bentoff means is that inside the dimension of time-space, where both concepts apply in a general uniform way, there is a proportional relationship between them. A certain space can be covered by energy moving in either particle or wave form in a certain time, assuming a specific velocity virtually anywhere in the time-space universe. The relationship is neat and predictable. However, in the intermediate dimensions beyond time-space, the limitations imposed on energy to put it into a state of oscillating motion are not uniform as they are in our physical universe. A myriad of various distortions and incongruencies are thus likely to be encountered, such that our nice, neat assumptions concerning the relationship between time and space as we know it in this dimension do not apply. Wow. But even more important, access is open to both the past and the future, where the dimension of current time-space is left behind. So that means you can pattern. This is called patterning. Okay. Wow. So you can actually write, you can change the past and the future. Wow. Special status, out-of-body experience. Although human consciousness can, with enough practice, move beyond the dimension of time-space and interface with other energy systems in other dimensions, the entire process is appreciably enhanced if that consciousness can be detached in large measure from the physical body before such interface is attempted. So that means you have to first do the out-of-body experience and be a ghost, and then you can move out of space-time and go into other dimensions. Wow. Once an individual becomes proficient in the technique of out-of-body movement and then reaches the point where he is able to break out of time-space while out of his body, he gains the advantage of clicking out part of his enhanced consciousness while starting from a base located much closer to the dimensions with which he wishes to communicate. In other words, since he is starting from a point much higher up, to use an analogy from the time-space context, that part of his consciousness involved in clicking out will have that much more time to interact in dimensions beyond time-space, because less time is required to traverse the intervening layers. Moreover, once the individual is able to project his consciousness beyond time-space, BiomedRx Health Center, may I help you? Moreover, once the individual is able to project his consciousness beyond time-space, that consciousness would logically tend to entrain its frequency output with the new energy environment to which it is exposed, therein greatly enhancing the extent to which the individual's altered consciousness may be further modified to achieve a much heightened point of focused and much refined oscillating pattern. As a result, a self-reinforcing process should ensure whereby the farther consciousness in the out-of-body state can be projected beyond the time-space dimension, the more it is its level of energy output would be enhanced, thus promoting the potential for still further travel. The tentative conclusion to be drawn is that the out-of-body state may be regarded as an extremely effective way of accelerating the process of enhancing consciousness and of interfacing with dimensions beyond time-space. If the practitioner of the gateway technique has a choice of concentrating on achieving and exploiting out-of-body experience as opposed to concentrating his full efforts on expanding his consciousness exclusively from a physical base, the former would appear to promise much faster and more impressive success than does the latter. Let's go over this again. If the practitioner of the gateway technique has a choice of concentrating on achieving and exploiting out-of-the-body experience, as opposed to concentrating his full efforts on expanding his consciousness exclusively from a physical base, the former would appear to promise much faster and more impressive success than does the latter. So they're saying that becoming a ghost is easy. They're saying that remote viewing is easy. That's the easy part. And once you can, listen, man, I'm a street boss, man. I like what's happening here on Earth, okay? Yeah, it might be cool to visit other dimensions, and I'd like to maybe visit my dad, rest his soul, and other dearly departed ancestors. I would like to visit and have face-to-face discussions with Orunmila and Baba Elekba and Ogun and all of the Orishas and different saints and angels. I would love to do that. But yeah, I would be satisfied with simply being able to have the out-of-body experience. And I'm glad that is considered easy by the standards of this document. But I'm just going to tell you, I haven't had the out-of-body experience yet. It's not breaking my heart. It's funny that I just want to purify my body. I just desire to purify my body. That's all I want to do. I don't, I've been fasting and then I haven't really been hungry. I haven't even been wanting to break the fast. It was very interesting. The major aspects of our intellectual journey from time-space to the realm of the absolute It may be helpful at this point to pause and recap the major aspects of our intellectual journey from time-space to the realm of the absolute. We have spoken at some length concerning the incredibly complex hologram, which is created by the intersection of energy patterns generated by the totality of all dimensions of the universe, time, space included. We have noted that our minds constitute energy fields which interact with various aspects of this hologram to deduce information, which is ultimately processed through the left hemisphere of our brains to reduce it to a form that we can employ for the process we call thinking. We have implied that this hologram is the finite embodiment and active energy form of the infinite consciousness of the absolute, God. It is the title we assign to that vast pool of energy and a state of perfect rest over which the physical universe is layered and from whence it comes. Incidentally, to describe this, Bentoff uses the analogy of a very deep sea, comparing the still depths of the sea to the dimensions of the absolute, while assigning the storm-tossed waves above to represent the physical universe with which we are familiar. The slightly agitated currents of the sea to be found in between the turbulent surface and the totally still depths represent energy in the process of either going into rest, approaching infinity, or coming out of rest. Okay, that is incredible. All right, and we're going to do another check here. See how we're doing. Thank you guys for visiting. I really appreciate it. It's been an hour 24. I'm going on and on. I'm going to stop here because I think that's enough information to digest for one day. And this is just from the CIA document about the experience, the gateway experience. I am undergoing the gateway experience right now, and it's pretty intense. Okay, I will say it's pretty intense. I'm gonna fade on over to this other scene here. All right.
Gold label quality BiomedRx CBD nutrients is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
Sorry about the commercials. I left the commercial button down. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Once again, I want to remind you to go ahead on and hit the likes up, subscribe, bell notification. Okay. Didn't mean to bore you as intensively as I did, but I had to do it. We're going through the gateway process right now. Consciousness is definitely being expanded. I'm definitely noticing that. Maybe that's why I'm running too fast and taking my awareness and not on that road. In fact, I actually may take a little bit more awareness and begin my evening training. I'm going to begin my evening brain training right now because it's 6:25. Well, actually, my son is going to be here at 7. So, no, when he gets here at 7, I'm going to begin his brain training. So I have to do his neurofeedback. So no, I won't do that. But thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Thanks, crowd. Let me know what's happening. Okay. I really hope you get a chance to join in to the Gateway experience and enjoy it. Let me know what's happening. Okay. I really hope. If you want to get copies of the audio files for the Gateway experience, just email me, right? Send me an email to info@BiomedRx.tv or info@DevinLockett.com. Either way, right? Info@DevinLockett.com works for me. Okay. And yeah, of course, as always, I want everybody to stay kind, because kind is the new sexy. And I want everybody to stay blessed. And I want everybody to stay healthy, because healthiness is what's happening. All right. The quality of your health is the quality of your life. And I'm just looking out the window because I've got people out here that are coming to the health center in the last hour of the day, which I think is a wonderful thing. And I may take off and grab a sandwich. I've been fasting, but I haven't been fasting deliberately. I mean, it's not like I'm on a fast. It's just like I happen to be fasting. So there's no need to, go crazy with it. I could make it a deliberate fast, I guess, and say, oh, let me just fast till tomorrow. But nah, let's not. Let's grab a bite. I want to thank everybody for joining. I really appreciate it. Much love, much light, much peace. And I will be seeing you on this channel, BiomedRx TV, and the other channels that I am on, or that I'm dealing with, that I'm broadcasting on. And one more time, before I let you guys go, I'll let you see the ladies.
BiomedRx Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency full-spectrum multiple vitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octasanol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzyme. Visit www.biomedrxsupplements.com.
Wow, yeah, that was definitely worth cheering. And remember to go to BiomedRx CBD and grab some gold label quality CBD oil.
Gold label quality BiomedRx CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate everyone joining us. It's been real, and it's been fun, and it actually has been real fun. So thanks for joining. Peace out. See y'all later.